Quédense unos minutos con nosotros.
Hello and welcome back to our second IGP radio broadcast. After an amazing amount of success on the first go-around with Matt Burris, I'm here with guest today, Corey Novotny. Corey, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Matt?
Doing well, just enjoying this lovely Leeds weather. If you saw the Facebook post from earlier, I believe the boys trained in some frost this Friday morning.
Yeah, no rain, which was nice.
No rain for once, but precipitation still takes its toll. So, the theme for this week's broadcast, Corey and I are both experienced bloggers, experience being an operative word there. Took the time at Costa Coffee the other day to put together a little list entitled 10 Top Tips for Life in Leeds. And Corey, if you want to explain a little bit as to what this list entails for potential recruits.
So what we're looking at here, we went to Costa Coffee the other day over a couple of manly cinnamon lattes, and we looked at the...
Manly being the inoperative word there.
Yeah. And looking for tips that we wish we knew while going into this process before going into the IGP process.
Yes.
So these are what we came up with. We asked around too, and I think we got a pretty good list here.
Definitely a list of at least 15, if not more. Looking at my chicken scratch here, it looks like that number could, in some galaxies, resemble 17 points. We'll do a roughly 6-minute broadcast here, and we'll get through what we consider to be some essential points, or perhaps just the ones we can make out here on the loose leaf paper.
Or what we can read, because your handwriting is atrocious.
It is a sorry excuse, and my English teacher, Francie Schiller, would be ashamed. I apologize on air for that. So moving in, maybe we start with a really practical point, being number one, understanding the visa, which is essentially the reason that we get over here, the piece of paperwork that allows us to do what we're doing.
Very important.
Here in England.
I think you have a story to share about that one.
I do. Perhaps the lesson here, before we go any further, is understand exactly what the visa tells you to do and what the guidelines are. For example, one instruction is do not enter the country before the day that your visa goes into action. August 21st, my visa went into action. My family and I decided August 21st was a day too late for Matt Rita to make his impact on England. So I flew in on August 20th. Sat in the Manchester airport security for about a half hour before I realized my visa would not be able to be accepted at that point, and that I'd have to fly out of the country for a night and fly back in to get it verified on the day, which was a expensive little trip to Amsterdam, which I enjoyed thoroughly. So that's just one aspect. Understand that the visa means you cannot come in until that day because it is a student visa and they need proof of your reason for being in England. They need proof that you're a student, that you've been accepted into the university. Corey, did you bring any documents with you?
Yeah, you do need a proof of attending Leeds Beckett University when you come into the country, but all those details would be on gov.uk. You could even choose what country you're from because the visa process is different. And even if you've studied abroad somewhere else, still check, because coming from both of us who have studied abroad in other countries too, the visa process is different for the UK, so keep an eye on that.
And you might say, compared to your undergraduate study abroad experience, the UK visa process is perhaps longer, more arduous, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely a
lot of waiting.
Longer process, a lot of waiting. So just make sure once everything's intact and you're able to go and get that visa, you get on it as quickly as possible. Just trying to help you out with a practical point there, aren't we, Corey? So we'll move on to another aspect that we think really is a great benefit of joining the IGP program, which manifests itself in the ability to travel throughout Europe. Traveling is a huge aspect of reasons kids study abroad and then live abroad as well. And one tip that you may or may not have experienced previously in your study abroad experiences is traveling is much easier and cheaper when you plan ahead.
Absolutely. Looking at a lot of the websites, Skyscanner is awesome. But like Matt said, book as soon as you can because you can find flights. We can find flights here from Leeds to Ireland for £9.99. I mean,
Yeah.
It could be that easy and it can be that cheap if you plan ahead.
And it's just a great weekend away if you really want. And
Yeah.
that goes for more exotic places as well, provided you receive your schedule for classes, you receive your football schedule or whatever sport it is you're playing at the time. Have a sit down, maybe go to Costa Coffee, get a cinnamon latte, find a mate, and figure out where you guys want to go and look at those plans. And if you put it together early, it'll be cheap, it'll be effortless, and there will be a whole lot less stress involved.
Yeah, this past Christmas break we went to Ireland, Belgium, Spain, and Italy, all for less than £200. And it was because we planned ahead. And if we had planned even further ahead, then it would have been cheaper.
Definitely a big point there. Speaking about kind of the expense side, living abroad is always pretty expensive. One way to really cut down on how much you're spending is before you come here, if you haven't yet, figure out a couple of easy meals that you can make and become a master at it, because cooking for yourself is a vital skill here and very inexpensive. Eating out, however, will drain your bank account quickly. Isn't that right, Corey?
Yeah, the combination of eating out and, let's call it fourth meal.
The fourth meal.
Yeah, that can get pretty costly at the end of the month. But definitely, do you have a go-to meal?
Do I have a go-to meal here? Yeah, just been introduced to chicken wraps of all sorts by fellow roommate and teammate Matt Burris, who unfortunately will never be on the show again due to his abusive language. But I think anything with chicken's pretty easy. This is coming from a guy's perspective who did relatively little cooking before here. Consider myself a 5-star chef now, and if you ever do visit, I'd be happy to whip you up something. Corey, on the other hand, has received a Michelin star for his efforts, and if you ever need any sort of guidance, he is the man to talk to about recipes, about particular sauces, or anything else you might find in a kitchen setting.
Yeah, I know my way around a bowl of cereal. But let's talk about Leeds. Did you have any idea what Leeds was like before you came in?
No, I trust Wikipedia, and it's gotten me through a lot of tough times throughout my academic career. But I think in order to really understand
IGP
Leeds...
does not endorse the use of Wikipedia. It's going to get us in trouble. Go on.
So to answer the question, no, I didn't know much about Leeds. And I don't think you really can understand Leeds until you get here. Because it's very interesting. It's almost, if I can bring up my friend Chuck Dickens for a second, it's a tale of two cities almost. It's this massive international city with tons of different cultural anomalies and influences throughout various ethnicities. It's a huge mixture. And so for that reason, it's constantly something new every day. Whereas at the same time, there are 3 major universities in this area, and for that reason, it's a college town. It's a big college town. Most of the population here that you'll meet are students just like you, all around the same age, which makes going out incredibly fun and easy to meet people. And so you can have that excursion abroad in which you're receiving the culture shock and you're stepping out of your comfort zone, but then you can go to class and meet people who are in situations just like you that bring you back when you feel too isolated or too lonely.
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better. Plus, you quoted Charles Dickens, so that was pretty good. But it's a huge. I never realized how big it was. It's massive. Lots of people. Leeds Beckett is not a small school in the middle of nowhere. But like Matt was saying, there's a lot to do. Even on campus, there's a lot to do.
2 campuses we should point out. One in the
true.
actual city center and a more traditional college campus in Headingley.
That's where you're at, and then I'm at the city center, too.
Depending on your degree, you might be at one of the 2 campuses. Both are easily accessible by foot, bike, train, bus, or whatever mode of transportation you prefer. Well, our time is drawing to a close here. We've gone well over the limit, but that's what happens when you're enjoying yourselves. I'd like to thank Corey Novotny for coming on to the show today. Corey, you've been a huge asset.
No, this was fun. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Be sure to check the IGP website for the continuation of this discussion via blog post authored by Corey and me. Also, if you weren't aware previously, we are on social media sites: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and you can find on the IGP website or any of those social media sites that you might already be a follower of the links to all of the other sites as we post weekly.
Yeah, so follow, friend, and connect, and I think we have to wrap it up now. So.
Yes, well, once again, I'd like to thank Corey for being on the show. You've been a huge help, Corey.
Thank you, it was fun, and make sure you check out the blog for the rest of the tips.
All right, cheers, everyone.